It's been 2 months since we released the trailer and Steam page for the Transylvania adventure of Simon Quest, which has got a lot of buzz, but a lot has happened since then that you should know about. It's your old pal Krusty Justy here, creative director at Retroware and your guide to the Transylvania adventure of Simon Quest, which I'll shorten to the acronym TASQ, pronounced TASQ. Today I'll cover the basics of TASQ, how development is going, how we won Best Booth at Magfest with our custom Coffin TV stands, plus an update about our upcoming events and games. TASQ has been in development on and off since 2019 by solo developer Programancer. You might know him from other games released by Retroware, like Prison City and Dumpy and Bumpy. The game started as a simple joke by Programancer. Konami clearly doesn't own Dracula or Transylvania or any of the horror elements that they borrowed from Universal or Hammer films. The only known character Konami made for the first 2 Castlevania games was Simon Belmont, and they wore all those other movie references and stuff proudly on their sleeves. What if there was a game using those same influences that also parodies the plot of Castlevania 2? A disgraced vampire hunter named Simon Quest finds out Dracula is back and wants to go kick his ass, only to find out that he's already been defeated by a rival vampire hunter, Stan Helsing. As the story progresses, you find out that maybe Stan Helsing didn't do the best job at making sure Dracula was actually destroyed. And maybe Simon has a much deeper reason for wanting to defeat Dracula himself. Speaking of development, the TASQ version from 2019 was developed in the Game Maker engine, but it was apparently sloppily coded by Programancer. He had never really intended to make it a serious project, so the code kind of reflects that. Unfortunately, the game started gaining traction, so he kept working on it, stacking the problems we have now, kinda digging up more dirt for the meme pile while burying himself 6 feet under old crappy code. A lot of those fixes involve the original aspect ratio being wrong, inflexibility for future localization, organizing the internal development software tools, and optimization for older consoles and PCs. Outside of this, he's been working hard on remaking stuff for the game, like how sub-weapons work and the inventory system, which has been revamped so future randomizers will function smoothly. He is also using Prison City's renderer and shaders now, which will allow for pixel scaling, smoother motion, and scrolling that couldn't have been possible in the old TASQ easily. But this is all good news, as recoding gives him a chance to reassess things he made over 4 years ago as they are imported, to make sure they're up to his own standards nowadays. Follow him on Twitter and check out the game's Steam post. There's constant devlogs there. So, with that said, when is the game coming out? How far into development is Programancer? Well, we don't have a clear answer yet outside of 2025. Considering the development issues I just brought up, and the porting time to consoles, and the amount of pre-marketing that has to get done. Yep, pre-release marketing. Marketing is more of my thing at Retroware, and that includes social media, email blasts, videos, and especially event logistics. Speaking of events, we will be at PAX East this month and at Too Many Games in late June. But yeah, let's talk about this past Magfest. It was a great show for us. We do various panels, I got caught up in a Sonic R karaoke, we brought the arcade museum, Programancer had a Prison City Glizzy party, and Simon Quest won Best Booth at MIVS, the Magfest Indie Video Game Showcase. Here's how we built it. I think Ryan came up with the coffin concept and we all got together to make it work. A TV coffin sounds easy on paper, but you also don't want it to fall over on people, so it takes some engineering. The coffins were put together from wood from our local Home Depot, sanded down, and stained a much darker brown color. Once put together, the next step was getting the red pillowy insides done. We got 2 anatomy classroom skeletons, and Joe went to town painting them to look like they've been dead for hundreds of years. The vampire teeth and glowing eyes were a really nice touch too. Then, a heavy circle base was placed underneath, to hold up both the coffin and the TV. The TV stand inside of the coffin was harder to figure out. Would we use an existing stand, metal, wood? We ended up just making it out of stained 2x4s and slapping a TV mount onto it, then bolting everything to that base. Oh, and Ryan had to saw metal bars for the base to work properly. I came up with the idea to use an actual church pew instead of chairs at the booth. I found one from a seller in Philadelphia who deals in gutted buildings. Here's a fun fact. This pew is from an old church in Philadelphia and can be seen on the actual Walking Dead TV show. Sadly, we would have to saw 2 feet off the pew or it wouldn't fit into the booth. See how long this damn thing is? Mr. Joel Scola measured twice, cut once, and reassembled the pew perfectly. Now it would fit properly into the booth space and could probably fit 3 or 4 people onto it. Lastly was the testing and lighting. We went with a nice red light and a black light to make the skeleton pop. Once it was all done and ready, it had to be wrapped up and moved out. We used our 2 trailers to bring our MIVS booth and arcade to Magfest. Did I mention we also run an arcade? We somehow survived the journey and rolled everything into the Expo Center. We were setting up both our Toxic Crusaders booth as well as TASQ. The coffins were put into place and everything came together really quickly. Even the arcade museum we put upstairs went smoothly thanks to Patrick. When the show opened, people immediately started playing the games at the booth, and we saw a ton of players over the weekend. For TASQ, Programancer states that well over 300 people played the game for 115 hours total. Oh, and people pet the dog 462 times. We were given the Best Booth Award by the MIV staff on the last day. Then we broke everything down, loaded up, and got the hell out of Dodge and back to base to work on the next big event. And with event, myself and our Retroware team will be at PAX East again this year in Boston. Right up front, nestled safely in the bosom betwixt Final Fantasy and Baldur's Gate. Right there. There, we'll have more upcoming games on display, like Toxic Crusaders, our 1990s Konami-style beat-em-up, and Iron Meat, our Contra-like run-and-gun shooter, which are both coming out this year. Plus, we'll have a lot of our other modern retro titles there, with everything in these really cool, repurposed, new Sega Alls arcade cabinets. Oh, and at PAX East, we'll also have a couple pins in the Penny Arcade, we'll have 4 free Nintendo Power style posters, and our physical games will be there for sale. So, hope to see you there. I'm going to try and get videos out more frequently, but we've been pretty busy bees over here at Retroware. We're setting up all our new offices and warehouse space. We have that whole new arcade thing going on. The fun never really stops here at Retroware. Except for right now.